the letter A in father, market, and star. Even though A is pronounced in various ways depending on the word, in these three it has the same sound, ah. And this sound is written like this in Hangul, the unique writing system of Korea. The biggest difference is that the Korean ah is pronounced slightly shorter than the English ah. There are also small differences in the position of the tongue and where the sound is made in the mouth. But since these don't usually affect communication, we won't go into detail here. The word aha is a great example to show how we can use Hangul to write the sounds people make when speaking. We can hear two sounds. The first sound is ah, and the second sound that follows is ha. The first sound, ah, is written with the letter A. We can write this sound in Hangul like this. In the second sound, ha, there's also an ah sound after the H, just like the first sound. So we can use the same Hangul letter again. We can write the English H sound in Hangul like this. The Korean H sound is a little stronger, but they're very close, so this letter works well. We'll go into more detail about Korean consonants in a separate video. There are some differences between how we write words or sentences in Hangul and how we write them using the English alphabet. One key difference is that in English, letters are written in a row from left to right, but in Korean, letters are grouped into blocks, and each block represents one sound or syllable. Since aha has two sounds, we imagine two blocks in our mind. Then we place the letters that make up each sound into each block. Inside each block, the Hangul letter for a vowel like ah is placed on the right side, and the letter for a consonant like H is placed on the left side. Because the letters that make up one sound need to stay together in one block, we write them close to each other like this. And the first sound in aha, ah, starts with a vowel, and there's no consonant like H in front of it. In Korean writing, when a syllable begins with only a vowel, we place a special letter in the consonant spot. It looks like the number 0. This shows that there's no consonant in that position. Even though this letter looks like the number 0, that's not where it came from. King Sejong, who created Hangul, designed it based on the shape of the throat when we make sounds like ah or e, round and open. When we write Hangul, we go from left to right, the same direction as in English. Thomas Edison, his last name, Edison. The first sound, A, is written like this in Hangul. To write the first sound of his last name perfectly in Hangul, we need to use this letter again. At the beginning of the word egg, we hear the A sound. We use the same Hangul letter to write it. Shall we try reading these words together with Hangul letter E? If you can do that, it means you've understood this Hangul letter and its Korean sound really well. This time, try reading this Hangul letter together with some English consonants. Can you read them? English speakers clearly pronounce the difference between words like bed and bad. That's why, when we write these in Hangul, we use different letters for each one. These two Korean letters, they represent slightly different sounds. E, However, many native Korean speakers today don't make a strong distinction between the two sounds. There's a Hangul letter that looks a lot like the English letter I. This one. It also sounds kind of similar. Just like the I in leave, this letter is pronounced as E. The difference is, this Korean letter always has just one sound. So, if you want to write the I sound in live using Hangul, you'll need two letters, A and the E. That's because Korean doesn't have a single letter that makes the I sound like in English. Take your time. Just like before, try reading these English words with the E. This time, try reading English consonants together with the Hangul E. There's another example where we need two Korean letters to show the sound of just one English letter, and that's the letter O. Even among Koreans, simple English words are often used in daily life. For example, words like go and no are commonly heard in Korea.
But when Koreans say go, no,
The pronunciation might sound a little different to native English speakers.
When you pronounce the English letter O, the sound changes slightly from the beginning to the end. That's because O is a combination of two sounds set in sequence.
But in Korean, this kind of sound doesn't exist. We do have a similar sound, though it's the Korean O, which is written like this. However, this Korean sound is not a combination of two sounds. It's a single, pure sound. When Koreans say this letter, they only pronounce the first part of the English O, not the final U part that comes after. O. O. In Hangul, vowels like A, E, and E have a taller vertical shape, so the consonant is written on the left side of the vowel. But for vowels like O, which are wider horizontally, the consonant goes on top of the vowel.
O, O.
When writing these syllables, we still start with the consonant first, then write the vowel below it. The U sound you hear in words like wood or food, and the sound of the letter U in words like June or blue, is written like this in Korean. But in Korean, the sound U is pronounced a little shorter than the English version.
U. U.
Even though they're clearly English, Koreans sometimes give these words a unique twist. To native English speakers, this can sound a bit unusual, or even strange.
Bus, Christmas, ice cream, test,
버스, 크리스마스, 아이스크림, 테스트.
Koreans often pronounce English words like bus and Christmas in a slightly different way. The reason lies in some unique vowels that exist in Korean, but not in English. In this video, let's learn about some unique Korean sounds that are not easily heard in English, along with the Hangul letters used to write them. In the word bus, the letter B combines with the U that follows to make one smooth sound. But the S at the end stands on its own. It creates a sound without a vowel like A, E, I, O, or U after it. This is possible in English. Consonants can be pronounced without vowels by simply pushing air out through the mouth without any vibration from the vocal cord. In Korean, however, this kind of sound doesn't exist. Korean doesn't have consonant sounds like English, which are produced only with air and no vocal cord vibration. Every syllable in Korean must include a vowel. That's why Korean doesn't allow a consonant to be written alone. It must be combined with a vowel that brings vocal sound into the syllable. So, when Koreans pronounce the final S in bus, they don't just say S,
They say S.
adding a vowel sound. This is the Korean character we use to represent that sound.
We read this letter as U in Korean.
버스, 버스.
And in the previous video, we learned that vowels like
O and U.
which have a wider horizontal shape, are written with the consonant above them. This vowel also has only a horizontal line, so of course, the consonant goes on top, and the vowel is written below it.
U. 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 U.
Since we've just learned,
U.
let's also take a look at another character that's made by combining
U.
with a letter we learned in a previous video. This letter is made by combining which we just learned, and E, which we studied in an earlier video. To pronounce it, just connect the two sounds, followed by E. You start with and then move into E, like this.
Ui.
의, 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 의.
My mother really loves having a cup of coffee on a sunny morning.
Mother, love, cup, sunny. These are all vowels that make the same sound. O. And in Hangul, we write this sound like this. This Hangul sound is very close to a sound you hear in English, but in Korean, it's pronounced a bit more clearly and strongly. Since English doesn't have a special letter for this sound, this Korean letter is considered unique and not found in the English alphabet. To pronounce it, open your mouth less than you would for ah, but more than you would for o, like this. O. O. Let's read these words together using the Hangul vowel
O,
Now let's try reading English consonants with the Hangul vowel
O,
O, O, O, O. West, feel the shape of your lips when you say the first sound of this word. Your lips form a small, rounded shape at the beginning. That first step is written with the letter W. Then you move right into the A sound. Korean uses two letters to show this sound because it involves two different lip shapes, just like in English. In the previous video, we learned that
U,
is pronounced with rounded lips. When you combine that with this vowel for the E sound, you get the Korean way to write the beginning sound of the word West. But because the change in mouth shape for this sound happens almost at the same time, Korean combines the two letters into a single syllable block, making it one character. In Korean, this is read as
왜,
just like in English, where different combinations of letters can make the same sound. Korean also has different vowel combinations that are pronounced the same way. These three vowel letters are made from different combinations of characters. Now listen to how I pronounce each of them.
왜, 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 왜.
I just pronounced these three Hangul letters based on their original standard sounds. But in everyday life, modern Korean speakers usually don't distinguish clearly between them. In fact, many people pronounce all three like the middle one.
왜, 왜,
So even if you learn these three letters as having the same pronunciation, it won't cause any problems when communicating with Korean speakers.
왜, 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 왜.
Let's take a look at a few more Hangul combinations that use U together with other vowels like we did with
왜,
This Korean letter is made by combining U and the sound we just studied. If you say the two sounds one after the other, you'll get the sound of this letter.
우어,
In fact, this letter is pronounced by blending U and together quickly, like this. Wa. It's almost the same as the first sound, wa, in the English word worry.
워, 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 워.
Let's learn one more Hangul letter and its pronunciation. A letter that combines two vowels to make one sound. And we'll wrap up this video. Let's imagine what kind of sound you'll get when you combine these two letters. Try to say the sound out loud yourself. The first letter is U, so your lips should be rounded like when you say U. Then the next letter is E, so quickly spread your lips to the sides to make the E sound. What sound does that give you? It's we. A long time ago, this letter had a different pronunciation that didn't involve changing the shape of the lips. But that version is a bit tricky. So these days, Koreans pronounce it by smoothly moving from the U shape to the E shape like this. We. 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 What is the sound of the letter A in this word? It's ah. Now, what happens if we put a Y in front of the A? How do we read it?
Yahoo, yard, yacht.
When Y comes before A, we read it as Ya. So, how do we write the Ya sound in Hangul? In Hangul, instead of writing another letter in front of Ah, we add one more stroke to the letter for Ah to create the Ya sound. This is the Korean letter for Ya. 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 In this video, we'll learn how to read these Hangul letters you see here by connecting them with the pronunciation of familiar English words. Now, let's learn some more Hangul letters that use the same idea for adding the Y sound to vowels. The first letter E in the word energy represents the AH sound, and the A sound in energy is written like this in Hangul. In English, to write the Ye sound, you just add a Y in front of the letter E. But in Hangul, we don't add another letter to show the Ye sound. Instead, just like with the letter Ya, we add one more stroke to the letter E to create the Ye sound. Ye. 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 As you probably remember from the last video, there is another Hangul letter that has the E sound. Here it is. Like the first letter, it is also read as E, and we can also add a stroke to this letter to create for the Ye sound, like this. Even though this new letter has the same sound as the one we studied earlier, try to learn it by looking at the shape and listening to the sound together. Ye. 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 When we add a Y before the O in the word ogre, it becomes yo, just like the first syllable in the word yoga. In Hangul, there is a vowel with a sound similar to the English O. That's the letter O. To create a vowel that sounds like the English yo, we add a stroke to the letter O. This makes the letter yo. 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 In fact, the Y in Ya actually shows the E sound. Ya is a sound made by quickly saying E and Ah together. Listen to this. Ia. Ia. Ya. The Hangul letter Ya was made by adding a stroke to the letter for Ah, creating the combined sound Ya, which includes both E and Ah. So when we see another letter with an extra stroke, we can easily guess that it should be read with an E sound added at the beginning. Like this. Add a stroke to the letter for E, and it becomes Ye. Add a stroke to the letter for O, and it becomes Yo. Now, can you guess the sound of this letter? This is the letter U that we studied in the last video. If we add a stroke like this, how should we read this letter? It becomes U. You can pronounce it like U, or like the first sound in the word youth. U. 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 As we studied in the last video, this letter is O. Now, if we add a stroke to this letter, how should we read it? It becomes Yo. This sound is similar to the first sound in the English word young. Yo. 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 In these 3 videos, we have studied almost all of the Hangul vowel letters. their shapes and sounds. I say almost all because there's still one more vowel left. Now, with this last letter, we will complete our study of all the Hangul vowels. As you may remember, this letter is read as
왜,
this sound is made by quickly combining the O sound and the A sound in sequence. Now, let's think about this. If we quickly combine the O sound and the A sound, what sound will we make? It will be wa. This is the same sound you hear at the beginning of the English word what and at the start of wow. It's a sound made by rounding the lips and then opening them wide. And this sound is written with this letter, wa.
와, 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 와.